And the man leading the charge is Machado Garry. Takes the fight on short notice against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Comes oh so close to pulling off that upset. Takes the fight on short notice against Carlos Prates. Wins that one. Comes back 2 weeks later. Backup fighter in Montreal. Services weren't needed. And now we all wonder what is next for him. He is kind enough to join us to let us say hello once again to Machado Garry. There he is. Hello, Ian. How are you?
It stabs me in the chest every time you have to mention it. Comes close.
Whoa. I'm sorry.
Not anything personal. Just me. It wrecks my head when I hear it like that.
I know, and I appreciate after the last time we spoke, you showed us in your room the picture. It is, in fact, there of you coming that close.
Told you it is. On short notice, I had a lot of fun. That's the main thing, and I proved to the world that I'm better than everyone thinks of me. So that's what matters to me right now.
So
how are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you. We spoke. You were in the airport, leaving Kansas City. You were getting ready to go to Las Vegas, and then you were going to Montreal. Now that you've done all of that, and obviously we'll talk about what happened in Montreal, but just the body having to go through another weight cut. And I know it was a short in camp, and you're preparing for two guys. How was just the experience of going through that 2 weeks after the Prates fight?
So as soon as I went to Vegas, I went there to just recover and focus on giving my body the best opportunity to be ready. And it was perfect. Everything went perfect. I kept my weight nice and low. It was actually the weight cut for the backup was actually easier than the weight cut for practice.
Why is that?
So I kept, because I think so I took the fight in 3 weeks' notice against practice, but I hadn't been training. I had just been on holidays in Oman, and then I went and cornered a friend of mine in Madrid. So I wasn't as active as I normally am. But I think the weight just flew off me mentally because I was just so ready for something to happen. I needed to be there, and I'd be the one to step up because I love that storyline of they needed me like on the night. Like Jack turned his ankle or twisted his ankle and couldn't stand up or something. They're like, come and get me from the crowds. I just had that playing in my mind. I was like, come on, something can happen.
Were you ultimately disappointed that something did not happen? Or, you fight for the belt for the first time. You wanted to be under the best of circumstances, full camp. How did you feel once you came to the realization this ain't happening in Montreal?
I just had to sit back and watch the boys go at it. At the end of the day, like I'm gonna fight for that belt whenever it's right. I said that week to myself. I said, if God wants it to happen this week on Saturday night, I'll make it happen. If not, it's gonna happen. It's inevitable. I'm gonna keep doing what I do, which is win, get my hand raised, and that belt will inevitably be strapped around my waist, and no one will stop me.
You going through that process and having to sit there and go through it all obviously gives you, you probably put a couple dollars in your bank. It wasn't all for naught. Would you do that again, or was that like a one and done for you? You'll never be the backup again.
I think I'd do it again for sure. I think mentally preparing for a fight is something that I enjoy. Being given the opportunity to go in and fight, I enjoy even more. So it would obviously have to make sense for me in regards to get ready, prepare for a fight, and then have something, whether it be I have a fight after that or I have a fight before that and then I back up again. So I would want to be preparing for something that's locked in and make sure that I'm mentally getting in there and I'm going, right, I'm getting something at the end of this, not just I fly back home and I go, well, it could have happened.
Sure.
The practice example is perfect. I fight practice 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later, ready to weigh in again in case I'm needed. I would do that again in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Side note, how did my hometown treat you?
Dude, unbelievable. It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. It felt very, very similar to Boston, actually. I don't know if you
yes
you would agree with that, but it felt very similar to Boston. I had an amazing time. Very, very kid friendly. The park was lovely. There was some really, really cool abandoned buildings, and just the streets were so like. I often walked to and from the hotel for like media and stuff like that, and it was an absolute honor and a joy to just walk around. It was so lovely. I definitely go back.
Okay, I love to hear that. That warms my heart. Ultimately, the fight happens. Your services aren't required. By the way, just curious, at some point, do they tell you, like, all right, you're good, like you can have a beer if you want or something like that? Or are you literally on the edge of your seat until you see them in the cage?
I had a little bag because we brought Leo with us, so I had like nappies and a bottle for him in case he got tired, and like a doty. I also had my jock strap and my gum shield. I was so ready, dude. I had that with me. I was like, please, I just want someone to come running out and go, or Hunter or Dan to come over and go, come here, we need to have a conversation with you. And then just pull me back and go, right, you're in. Someone's rolled an ankle. Someone's done like something. Stranger things have happened. Like this is like we've had Dan Ige weigh in on the day and fight. You know what I mean? Like there's been mad occasions, and the UFC will make crazy possible, if that makes sense. They will take something that's not people will consider not possible. They'll make it possible. So I was like, until I see the two of them walk into that octagon, I'm going to be ready. No, I think the funniest part was I went and took Leo to the toilet before the main event, and I seen Steve, one of the heads of security, and he just looked at me and he goes, listen, Ian, no jumping that cage no matter what, right? I was like, all right, good, I'm good. I was like, I'm not going to do anything to cause any trouble. He's like, listen, I've said it once. And I was like, I'm not causing trouble, dude. I'm not causing trouble. But if one of them calls me out, I'm jumping it then. You can't stop me. And he was like, under no circumstance. That was funny. So that was kind of my, like, they're both in there, the recognition of like, all right, like, I'll just sit back and watch it as a fan.
And you were wise to listen to him. Steve is a gangster. You don't want you don't want to upset that man.
He's awesome. He's awesome at what he does.
All right, so the fight happens. You had the best seat in the house. What did you think of the fight, and in particular, how Jack and Belal fight? There was a lot of talk afterwards. Oh, Belal didn't shoot enough. I think not giving Jack enough credit for how he fought. What do you think?
I definitely think you have to give Jack credit for that. But just on that point, you have to give Jack credit for footwork, head movement, controlling the distance, and making it awkward for Belal to enter. But at some point, you have to realize you need to do something different. You need to change it up. You need to mix it up because, like, you're not going to outbox a boxer. I don't know if Belal just got his ego in the wrong direction, which I'm not saying he did, but I don't know if mentally he went, I'm going to shock the world and beat him on the feet, and he had that dead set in his mind, and inevitably he's now not the champion because of that. I don't know if he was injured and couldn't shoot as much. Who knows? But at the end of the day, the Belal that showed up against Leon wasn't there against Jack Della Maddalena. I know I give a lot of that to Jack and his boxing and his footwork. But as a champion, you have to be able to change that up and mix it up and push and drive and not kind of accept it to be in your opponent's world. You have to be able to make it happen. So definitely give Jack a lot of credit for stopping Belal. But when Belal went, Belal was having success, like, to a certain extent. I feel like he needed to maybe just keep going for it and kind of bite down on the gum shield and eat a shot. You know, Michael Johnson said to me a long time ago, he said, if you're hitting me, I know you're open somewhere and I have to find that somewhere. So it's that thing of if I'm being hit, then there's something I can do to have success my end. And I feel like Belal just needed to be a bit more aggressive and maybe eat a shot to kind of get in on the single, grapple a little bit, try get the takedown, try get the high, whatever it is. But yeah, I think Jack did what he needed to do and did what was expected of him, which was win on the feet.
Did you think that Jack looked sloppy in there?
So I watched it live, right? Which means I'm watching it through my eyes, which I know how fast I am. I know real time. And I thought both of them looked slow from watching it with my own eyes. Then I watched it back on TV and it was a completely different look. Jack looked a hell of a lot cleaner than he did in person. And he looked a lot faster when you're just watching him versus Belal. Whereas when you're sat front row, you're watching it. I'm watching it as if I'm in there. That's my mentality. But yeah, I think there was a lot of things Jack did that I thought were quite sloppy. But technically, he was the better striker, so he was going to win that regardless. Belal has never been known for his striking.
Was there anything that Jack did that impressed you truly, that you didn't expect?
The high crotch single defense?
Yeah.
On the money. Because every time Belal grabbed it and went to lift, Jack just dropped to his knees, and I thought, beautiful. Give him the back, stand back up, break the grip, get away, and go back to what you were doing, which was beautiful, simple and easy. So that I found really, really beautiful.
The last time we spoke, you laid out your 3-fight plan, and item 1 was, fight Belal, win that title, and then Islam, and then Shavkat. Now the first line has changed because Belal is no longer the champion, and Islam is fighting Jack. So curious, were you surprised that Islam ended up moving up and didn't take the Ilya fight that was going to happen in a month and a half time? Instead, he's moving on, leaving the belt behind and fighting for the 170 belt. Did that domino falling after the Belal loss surprise you?
No, I said all week, knowing that Islam has wanted to move up and Belal has been the barrier for him wanting to move up, that if that happens, he should be next. And there's me saying, I'm next in line, I'm all this. I've said that everybody should take a step back for the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. And I believe that everyone should. And if he wants to come up and try to achieve that double champ status or come up and try to beat Jack, then off you go. I think that's well earned and well deserved.
Okay, so Dana White announced that is going to be the next fight, Jack versus Islam. Date TBD. What does that mean for Ian Garry?
I think they're going to fight probably October-ish. It would make more sense that they'd fight kind of the Middle East way or down there. So I couldn't imagine they'll do a card there until around, September, October vibes?
Yeah, it's October, back end of October.
That would make a lot of sense, right? You've got Islam and Russia and all of the love that he gets from that area of the world, and Jack. It makes sense that they do it there. So, yeah, that'll probably be the date. When it comes to me, it's Ariel, I can tell you, I'm going to continue to be active. Do you know what I mean? I'm never going to stop. I'm a fighter. I want to be active. I want to beat everyone up. I want to prove that I'm the best, and I don't need a belt wrapped around my waist to prove that I'm the best. I need to keep beating the best fighters in the world, and that belt will come in time.
So I think that is great to hear, and I think everyone respects that mentality. I think the one that everyone wants to see is you versus Sean Brady. He was on the show last week saying hey, Islam's fighting for the belt, great. Let me and Ian fight for the number 1 contender spot. Winner gets to fight the winner of Jack versus Islam. Do you share that sentiment?
Well, firstly, I don't think, and this is where my brain has been kind of going over timings and what's next. I don't think that is the case. And you had Jack on recently, and he told you what he thought. He thinks if he beats Islam, he's going to wait and get Shavkat next. So see, there's a whole load of what I don't want to be as a political fighter. I don't want to sit around. I mean, we've been trying. Look, the welterweight division's in a phenomenal point right now. It's crazy, and it's awesome to see, and it's exciting for me. But we've still got people like Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, and Colby trying to hold on to that rank, right? They should just leave. They should be gone by this point, right? And I don't want to be that political person who sits there and goes, I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to wait. No, I'll never do that. I want to be active. I want to be one of the best. And I want to prove that I'm the best in the world. But you've also got this scenario where I fight Sean Brady, right? For example, like you're saying, I fight Sean Brady, I beat Sean Brady, and I'm still not next. Because that's how the world works sometimes. And they do give it to Shavkat, who's coming off a year layoff, just like they did to Jack. Jack was off for a year injured. They give him a world title shot. So there is no guarantees. So for me, when you say something like that, you got to put that into perspective. I think Jack wants to go Islam if he wins, or if he loses. I think next is probably going to be Shavkat. And I think that'll be March, or potentially even after Ramadan. If Islam, I don't know if Shavkat does Ramadan, but I know Islam does. So if Islam wins, it's definitely not going to be defended until probably after Ramadan. And then, so that could be a long time until we see 2 title defenses in the division.
So what does that mean for you, though? Like, if it was up to you, now that
it means the UFC are going to call, they're going to say, hey, we want you to fight. I'm going to go, all right, sweet, who, when, and where? And I'm going to say, yes, probably.
Okay.
Right? And I want to be active. I believe I've done enough to earn a title shot. I've shown up back-to-back occasions. I've helped the UFC out of a hole. Do you know what I mean? I've dug them out of a hole. I've shown up against two of the most dangerous fighters in the world, and I've proved that I'm one of the best in the world. You know, I go out and I dominate someone like Callouts practice in 3 weeks' notice. I show the world how good I am. But I am absolutely someone who wants to keep this momentum going, and I want to put fear into the rest of the division.
So just to be clear, if they called you and said, we want you to fight Brady, do you say yes to that?
Ariel, I think we're past the point of where that needs to be a question.
I'll tell you why I brought that up. I brought that up because when you made the video post 315, you laid out all the scenarios. What's that?
I didn't have Sean in that video?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, I thought Sean would sit and wait. I thought Sean would be that type of person. He just beat Leon, a former champ. He just submitted him. He just got the finish. I thought he would be the type of person that you could absolutely sit there and go, well, if something happens, this or that, you're looking at me and Sean as the options. And I believe I'm the biggest fight they can make. When you talk about genuine welterweight contenders, you know, Sean's not that interesting. Whereas when you look at me and look at what I do and look at the audience I bring in, you want to sell a main event, you want to sell a pay-per-view card and put a main event for the world title, me and Jack is far bigger than Sean and Jack. And that's a fact. That's not a dig at anyone. That's just a fact.
I think that I agree with everything that you're saying regarding like how this could delay everything with Shavkat and all that. And this sucks, but sometimes it works this way. You'll recall your good friend Charles Oliveira suffered a cut, didn't get his title shot, had to fight Arman, work his way back up, fight Chandler. I think we are past the point of Shavkat just regaining that slot without fighting, regaining that number one contender spot.
I do hear you on that, and I do agree with you on that to a certain extent. Like, I think, you know, when you look at the welterweight division right now and the way the welterweight division has evolved, I'd argue it's the most exciting it's ever been right now.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
When you look at sheer depth of talent and youth and the kind of the passing of the torch from the young to the old, like from the old to the young in the division, it's arguably the most exciting the division's ever been. And you look at the names, like you look at people under 30 in that division that are just on a tear. You've got Shavkat, you've got Jack, you've got me, you've got Moraes, you've got loads of us that are just young and hungry and have stuff to prove. And that's exciting. When you've got that energy mixed with sheer talent, that's impressive. So the division is at a very good place. And I feel like when you've got guys fighting, you know, I think Buckley's going to run through Kamaru Usman. There's another guy. I believe I've already shown on the drop of a dime that I'm one of the best in the world against anyone. I was there for the backup, and then the UFC know how game I am. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got Sean Brady, who just come off a win against Leon. All of us are right there on that cusp, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe Shavkat should just come back and get that, especially if all of us fight again.
Yes, multiple times.
But that's not how it works sometimes, unfortunately.
Sometimes, yeah, but I think you and Sean have an all-out classic, which I think it would be. I think it should be a 5-round fight if you do fight. I feel like that's a number one contender fight. I really do. I mean, with the wins you guys have had, how could anyone deny it? I'm not disagreeing with you whatsoever. I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but politics gets involved, and the UFC as a business do whatever they decide, and that's it to a certain extent sometimes. So, you know, that's why I'm in this mentality of I'm going to beat anyone, anywhere, anytime, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to keep this ball rolling. I'm going to keep this motivation going, this momentum going, because it's inevitable I'm going to be the champion. I don't see any world where I don't get that belt wrapped around my waist, and I know for a fact, had I fought in Canada, I would have won the belt. Who do you think wins, Jack or Islam?
It's such a tough one to talk about. You know, obviously, Islam is phenomenal and he's good everywhere, but size matters, right? It's not the first time that saying's been said, right? But size matters. And when you're talking about an extra 15 pounds and you look at and this is an example, when you look at the size of Volkanovski versus Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big size discrepancy. Jack's a much bigger human. And Volk gave him a good fight. Do you know what I mean? Volk gave him a very good fight. And then stylistically, when you look at someone like Dustin Poirier and the fight that he gave Islam, that was a very good fight. Like, it wasn't absolutely completely dominant by Islam. It was a tough fight. Then you add an extra kind of 15 pounds to Jack. And naturally, not like he's not cutting weight type of vibes. I know Islam will have to cut weight, but I just think that size is going to play a huge part. Even on the ground, I know how strong people have said Islam is, but I feel like Jack could get it done. Like there's a world where I can see both. I can absolutely see Islam coming in and doing what Islam does and going out there and just looks like the phenomenal mixed martial artist he is. But I can also see Jack get it done with just some clean boxing and good takedown defense.
And, I couldn't agree more. I freaking love the welterweight division. There's a real changing of the guard right now happening. I mean, right before you came on, we had a young man named Michael Morales on of Ecuador, 18-0, 25 years young. Not sure if you were paying attention. I don't think a fight versus Michael Morales makes sense for you right now, but he did say he would like to fight you next. Apparently, he said there was some issue between the two of you at the PI that he was trying to sort out, that he wasn't happy with. He's a tremendous fighter and seems like he has some sort of star quality to him. Do you have any idea what he's talking about? Do you know this issue that he has with you?
Ariel, I don't believe I've ever met the bloke, let alone walked by the bloke.
Okay.
But if he has a problem, then let him keep the problem. It doesn't bother me. I don't believe I've ever met him, said a word to him or anything at all. So
to be clear, he said he was looking to talk to you about it because I think it's something that happened with one of his teams. Whatever it is, I was just curious what you thought of him. Do you think that he is someone who you could meet maybe down the line? Does he have that type of potential in your opinion? Did you watch his fight against Gilbert on Saturday?
I watched the fight against Gilbert. Gilbert's a good friend of mine, so I had to watch it. And yeah, he did what he needed to do. Do you know what I mean? I thought Gilbert looked good early on. I thought Gilbert looked a lot more energetic than we've seen him in the past. And against a bigger guy, he looked good earlier on. But Moraes went out there and did what he needed to do, and that's the fighter in him.
Just another one of those guys. Like if Buckley wins on June 14th, like I think the whole guard will have been changed. Like it will be a whole new crop of guys. And who knows? I don't know if Belal is going to get. We didn't mention him, but I don't know if he's going to get another crack at the belt anytime soon. It just seems like
I think he needs it. I still think there's a world where like it could be Belal next again as well. It all depends. You know what I mean? There's a whole new rake of talent. Do you know what I mean? It's all exciting. They're all bodies that I'm going to eventually inevitably beat up because I'm going to have the belt. I'm going to fight all of these guys at some point. I've told you, I want to win that belt. I want to be active. I want to destroy the division. I want to go through the division, completely prove against everyone and anyone that I'm the best. And then I can say I'm one of the greatest of all time. Do you know what I mean? So that's the mentality I have. So when you sit here and say, would you fight Moraes? Would you fight this guy? Would you fight that guy? You already know the answer to that. The answer is always going to be yes. And I'm going to fight them at some point in time because when I'm the champion, I'm going to be beating up everyone that's the next contender, the next best guy.
I would love to see you versus Jack, two big welterweights. I think it would be phenomenal. I would be remiss. His coach, Ben Vickers, was speaking to Submission Radio, and he had some things to say about you. Can I just read you a quote and get your response? Go
ahead.
He said about you, he needs to stop flying around the world trying to be a celebrity and get in the gym and get some power and figure out how to finish fights. He was talking about the stuff with your son and the M&Ms. Jack doesn't really care. He's the most chilled out dude in the world. So yeah, it's all a bit silly. I don't think Ian Garry will ever own a UFC championship, to answer your question. What do you make of that response from Ben Vickers?
So let's go off this basis, right? In his last 4 fights, Jack has had 1 finish. So he's telling me I need to get into the gym and I need to start finding some power, right? He got beat up pretty bad. I seen his face. You seen him in studio. He looked pretty bad, right? And Belal ain't nowhere near the striker that I am, Ariel. I think we can both agree with that, right?
Yes.
So Belal ain't nothing compared to me on the feet, but he looked rough when he was in your studio, right?
There were some bruises, yes.
Yeah, I'll bend his nose backwards the way it should be, right? And his coach should stay out of this, right? My son giving him M&Ms was a playful, harmful joke about having a laugh about him missing weight. It was all good. It was all a bit of banter. I'm not flying around the world trying to be a superstar, trying to be someone famous. I'm flying around the world ready to fight. And if I'm needed, I'll show up and I'll do what I need to do, which is fight. And if he's the champion, I'll take the belt from his hands.
In your opinion, did he cross the line with his comment at the press conference?
What do you think?
I would imagine. I would imagine.
No.
I'll be honest.
Not me. What do you think?
Yes. I would imagine you were not happy. I would imagine you would be offended. I would also.
No, I'm asking you, what do you think about the comments?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not asking you whether you think I was offended. I'm saying, what do you think as a father and as
100%.
A reporter and a presenter of MMA? What do you think about it?
As a father, first and foremost, I don't like when family gets involved. I don't like when kids. We've talked about this, but then and that's the period. That's it. I do, and I didn't even ask him about it because I didn't want to bring up the can of worms. But since we're going down,
I appreciate that.
But the only thing is that once. It's a double-edged sword because your son is on camera and you guys are proud of him and he's interacting with the fighters. So then sometimes someone could say, like, if you're going to put him out there to have playful banter, guys are going to take it in different directions. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not defending it. I just want you to know.
No, of course I know you're not. I never would assume that you are. Let's make that abundantly clear. Well, that's why I asked you, what do you think? There's a playful joke about a child giving a fighter M&Ms with the kind of like baseline comedy of take these, eat these, miss weight, my daddy will step in and win a world title. That's just a laugh, right? It's low level, right? Then going out and saying the comments that he said is just immature, and it shows that he's very sensitive, because if he says something like that, which is that's out of his character, which means that what I was doing on fight week irritated him enough to trigger him to say something like that, which means when I do fight him, Ariel, I'm going to open up a whole can of irritation, because I reckon he's mentally weak. I can get in his head, right? But I'll never stoop so low as to mention his child and his children and his wife, because I don't need to. I'll walk in there in the octagon, I'll pump him out off him, I'll take his belt, and then I don't need to say anything.
Man, I would love to see the fight just from the athletic standpoint alone. If we
what his coach is saying, I don't give a fuck about his coach, Aaron. Sorry, excuse the language.
No.
But him saying I need to get in the gym and do some power. You had 2 split decisions in your last fight. You got a lucky knockout over Gilbert Burns, and then you had a great performance against Belal Muhammad. You won a world title. Great job, lucky you. Go do that against Islam. Go do that against Shavkat. And if there's any world where you beat the two of them, I'm going to thump them out of. That's a fact.
You're doing everything.
And I'll beat him where he's best, and I'll beat him just boxing. And I've said this. I out-grappled Shavkat. I outstruck Carlos Praxis where he's best. I will, and I can, absolutely box the ears off Jack Della Maddalena. That's just factual.
Make this part of the hype video. It's being sold right now. It's happening right now. We'll take 1%. You're 1 win away from tying the amount of wins that Conor McGregor has had in the UFC. You have the longest winning streak. What's that?
It's mental. I actually thought that ahead of this last fight. I said, how many wins is Conor having in the UFC? Am I close?
You're 1 win away. You have the longest winning streak of any Irish fighter, obviously, in UFC history. You're doing everything right. So life is good. Hopefully we see you again at some point. What do you think? Fall time? Later in
I'll be ready. Right now, I'm at home. I'm enjoying the house. I'm going to Legoland tomorrow.
Yeah.
Enjoying my time as a dad. I'll be ready whenever they need me, whenever they want me, against whoever they want me to fight. I'm going to be ready. I'm excited by the division. I'm excited by where I'm at in my career. And mentally, I walked out that building on Saturday night in Montreal, May 10th, thinking I'm the best in the world.
Last one on a positive note. What about our boy Oban Elliott fighting next weekend? How's he looking? What's it like being with the presence of the Welsh gangster?
Dude, I love him. He's such a good energy. He's great with Leo. He has such a good laugh, but he's also he's a dog, man. The guy is so good at what he does. He brings good energy. He trains hard. He fights good. And I can't wait to see him. I messaged him the other day. I need to message him again. So there's a good reminder. But yeah, he's such an awesome energy. And I want to see him reach the top as well. I think he's an awesome human, and I can't wait to see him fight.
Love it. Looking forward to that. That's next weekend. For now, thank you. Tremendous stuff.
We do a whole interview.
Yes.
And not talk about Charles and Ilya.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. There's a lot going on. I'm focusing on your division.
I'm thinking that now as you're about to wrap up. I'm like, one more. I'm like, how the hell?
Charles is fighting Ilya for the belt.
About 15, 20 minutes.
There was a lot happening in your particular weight class.
That's so fair.
Are you going to be there?
That shows how good the welterweight division is. If we're talking about the welterweight division for 20 minutes and not mentioning one of the best fights we've got on in this year, do you know what I mean? That's a good place to be in.
It's a tremendous. Are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there 100%.
I love it.
I think it's a phenomenal fight. I'm excited by it. I think Ilya is a very, very dangerous opponent. You know, make no mistake. I said this to Diego. I'll say it to Charles when I see him. I think this is a fight where Charles needs to be switched on. I do see a world where Charles can absolutely get the win, but a guy coming up and getting an extra 10 pounds and not having to cut weight, that's a dangerous person, and he was dangerous already at featherweight. But God, when Charles goes out there and does trials, it's just the most entertaining fighter we've seen. There's never a dull fight.
Will you be going to Brazil to help him prepare?
That I have not figured out yet. I would absolutely love to, and I will always be there. If he wants me, I will be there. But I will definitely be there fight week to bring the energy and bring the good vibes and have a laugh and just watch the greatness.
Love it. Okay, I apologize. But to your point,
there's no apologies. I just can't believe you.
There's a lot. Yeah.
You missed that. Vamos without box. Hey.
You're the man, Ian. Thank you so much. Great stuff over the last few weeks, and love that you loved the great city of Montreal. That was tremendous news. I'm happy they treated you and the family well over there.
Got a special jersey from the Canadian team. I got the Patty's Day jersey.
That's legendary. That's legendary right there. Frame that.
Exactly. I was going to wear it, but I was like, I don't want to come on here and show off.
Yeah. No. Thank you, Ian. Tremendous stuff. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Have a great day, dude.
There he is, the great Ian Machado Garry. The future, and maybe I thought that was one of our best ones. I mean, he was fired up there. I love it. What a time. What a freaking time in the welterweight division. It's unbelievable. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.